by Chris Cooper, Chapter 6, the last part. The guys wrapped up a handful of hours at work and would return to the lodging area by late afternoon. There was, between all the men's cabin, a facility for showering similar to those seen in state parks and campgrounds. The guys were eager to get cleaned up and remove the musk smell of the seasoned wood chips from their arms and legs. Treated sawdust from the processing of the mulch carried a distinctive tar-like scent, and in the heat of the day the smell climbed up the nostrils, and the dust got everywhere, especially clinging to sweaty skin, making for a sticky and irritating coat. Trevin and Jesse hadn't bothered to mention the mind-bending experience between them they felt back at the site earlier. Neither one really knew exactly what the other's thoughts were about it. There existed between them a silent agreement to chalk it up to being high or sunsick or something. The shower facility was a block of carpeted locker rooms, and, after a hallway, a series of shower stalls stood, each equipped with a single shower head, except one which was oddly equipped with two. Young men would be undressing and forming a jagged line in the general direction of the showers as steam poured into the locker area. Banter and laughter echoed throughout the white plastered chamber. Trevin purposely delayed his procedure, getting down to his slacks, and then to briefs, and finally to bare. By contrast, Jesse had just whipped his clothes right off and promptly entered a white towel provided by the fellowship from a common rack. The waiting line dwindled and dwindled until all the folks that remained were occupying the number of individual stalls, leaving just the double-headed shower one vacant, tempting anyone who dared. Jesse and Trevin were left sliding their backs against the whitewashed cinder block wall. "You good, man?" smiled Jesse toward Trevin, who nodded sheepishly. Jesse glanced at the open double shower, still blasting hot water from the inside, the previous user having left the water rolling out. "You want to go ahead?" Trevin insisted. "Nah, it's cool. You can go if you want," spoke Jesse. Trevin was shivering. His relatively small figure contorted as he kept his forearms tightly crossed, holding his towel up. "You look cold, man. Go on," Jesse laughed. Trevin awkwardly smirked and pressed his bare feet ahead along the wet mosaic floor. Closing the curtain partially behind him, he stripped, allowing the steam cloud between the walls of the stall to envelop him. Trevin was busy running his fingers through his dirty blonde hair, taking pains to scratch any dust that had been collected over the course of the day, and only the little tiles and the grout between them below reached his eyes. His vision was blurred by the water when he suddenly heard the screeching noise of the shower curtain flying open, bouncing around from behind. Trevin gasped, a trickle of hot water running into his mouth. "I heard in Europe dudes shower together all the time," Jesse's voice sounded off. Trevin's heart didn't know whether to sink of embarrassment or surge with elation and a little relief. He was taking this a lot more seriously than Jesse was. Trevin pressed his palms into his face, tugging every nerve back that wanted to just glance. He began to tremble. "Hey," Jesse's voice fed through the splattering water. "You all right?" Yeah. I'm just trying to, to remember where I put my shampoo is all." After drifting his eyes along the sides of the shower walls, courage finally climbed up out of his heart to turn to his friend's face, covered by his scrubbing hands. Trevin's eyes drifted, sinking to his biceps, his chest, to his navel and thinly hair trail coursing from his belly button. Jesse released his face suddenly, shaking his saturated hair and spitting up water. Trevin crumpled his eyes until, snapping to, he returned his look ahead and continued to pretend not know where the shampoo was. He was still shaking, and visibly so. invisibly so. "Hey, bud, turn around real quick," Jesse ordered from nowhere. "What?" The thought bolted through Trevin's mind. He twisted his back. "What?" he said. Suddenly, Trevin felt Jesse's hand against his shoulder blade. "Hold still," he said. There was a slight pinch on Trevin's back, and he winced. "What is it?" "Nasty. A tick." "Oh." Trevin kept his neck turned. "Wait." Jesse pushed him back from where he was. Trevin didn't resist at all. "I just want to make sure," Jesse's voice lingered. Trevin pounded his eyes closed. "You can look all you fucking want," he breathed. His eyes shot open. He was mortified. He collapsed within, hearing his own words come back to him. How could he have let that slip? There was only pattering for a couple seconds. "Just look," Jesse finally mumbled, his voice rolling around the hot air like thunder. Trevin shivered, and the air grew heavy. "Anything," he finally whimpered. Pretty soon, Jesse's fingers began to skate down Trevin's spine. "I can see," Jesse murmured. "What do you see?" said Trevin. "I see you." Trevin could hear Jesse's feet touch closer to his body, and he began to feel the soft capture of lips against his shoulders. Hands bigger than his wrapped themselves around his rib cage, bouncing from breath to breath and not long before covering his chest. Jesse's huffing along the base of Trevin's neck sent chills all over as he began to roll his eyes back. Trevin's ears filled with a low moan which he found himself clawing to throw his soul into, trying to balance himself against the ceramic wall. Trevin's right hand reached out, grappling Jesse's side with his skin, and as if in a state of its own, his fingers wandered around Jesse's bare hip, and there it was, noble, strong, full, and surging. Trevin couldn't help but break into a grin. "Fuck," he nearly wept. He climbed his hand to the base of Jesse's towering back and used his strength to press him forward with his forearm. He felt like a great force had enveloped him. An eagle had spread its wings over him in shelter against the rain. The earth itself was behind him. He didn't know if he wanted to laugh or weep joyously. He seized Jesse and drove his body and hot skin closer, striking his own. Jesse's jaw was against Trevin's ear till he could hear every ticking of his teeth and cheek. He pressed and pressed and pressed. Jesse hissed and grunted with pleasure. Their faces practically dove into the wall together, and Jesse was spitting up water. Trevin snuggled himself happily under his burgeoning throat, gleefully listening to his heavy breaths and low voice rumble. Finally, Jesse's hands devoured Trevin's own, nearly cracking his knuckles in half, and he fell his teeth onto Trevin's soft skin with a sting, exploding goosebumps across his body. Jesse's moan rattled his chest, and he struggled to hold back himself. The pattering of the shower resumed, and the steam escaped from the curtain left dangling open. "You good in there, bud?" Suddenly, Jesse's voice bounced all over the shower chamber walls from the outside. Trevin quickly unstuck his face from the ceramic tiles and shook his head. "What the he murmured to himself. "Yeah?" he shouted in reply. Trevin went on to piece himself together before stumbling out of the stall. After Jesse had passed him, entering the double-headed shower by himself, Trevin, being struck with curiosity, reached behind to feel the skin of his shoulder blade. There was a noticeable object, and he fastened his fingers around it and yanked. It was a tick, which had just begun the process of burrowing itself into his skin. He reeled in disgust before running to one of the toilets and flushing the insect down. Trevin and Jesse were back at the cabin, and they'd made their way out of the showering facility with damp hair and carelessly tossed on clothes. Busying themselves watching funny clips they'd found online on the dodgy internet connection, which was continually deteriorating, they were relaxing on one of the bunk beds in the sleeping quarters together, feeding off of one another's laughter. It wasn't long before Troy and Lynn finally made their way back too. "Nice job today, fellas." Troy sat, bow-legged across his bunk on the opposite side of the room, scratching and adjusting himself in some gray sweatpants. "Now that we've somehow knocked out this bullshit mulch job Ponyboy had us on, we're looking to be ahead on the other crews." Jesse and Trevin looked up from their reclining on the opposite bunk at Troy, waiting for the punchline. His dumb face just made a nod. A scrambling noise suddenly popped in at exactly 10 p.m. over a pair of the speakers attached to the ceiling of the cabin. It was Pastor Lee's nightly reading from the scripture, commencing. Tonight's read, the final hours before Jesus' arrest in the Garden of Gethsemane. It said, "And he said, Abba, Father, all things are possible unto thee. Take away this cup from me. Nevertheless, not what I will, but what thou wilt. And he cometh and findeth them sleeping, and saith unto Peter, Simon, sleepest thou? Couldst thou not watch 1 hour? Watch ye and pray, lest ye enter into temptation. The spirit truly is ready, but the flesh is weak."